Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today on the show. Music's off. Oh my, we are here. Music is straight off the chain, off the this, off the that. We are off of Thanksgiving Day. That happened yesterday. We planned to have Caleb Montgomery call in. Of course, he's over there getting ready for Turkey Night. But according to him, after 5 p.m. last night, he was extremely intoxicated and couldn't make the show. He was off the hinges in many aspects, in many ways. But they're doing Turkey Night. I believe that's tonight out there on the West Coast and tomorrow night. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. But today we have another guest on the show that we've had in the past, but I think today is going to be just a little bit different. Not much, but a little bit. And that is, I'm calling him Mr. Gateway Dirt, Mr. Dome. I think that's your name now, Cody, is Mr. Dome. Even though I guess you probably want it to be Mr. DRT. Is that more so what you would like?
Oh no, I don't know what I want my name to be, but I know that most people call me Dome Guy. So you're pretty close
Dome
on
guy.
Mr. Gateway. I'm just a Dome
That
Guy.
that that
Um,
Mr. Dome sounds so much better, but this is the lack in creativity of late model racing. I'm a sprint car guy. No, I'm just kidding.
but no, yeah, DRT is obviously a passion and love of mine, but call me Mr. Dome Guy. Doesn't matter at the end of the day. My name's Cody. It is what it is.
Well, I did do some research for our audience. What you are, according to LinkedIn, we pulled this out of the gutter just for everybody. Apparently, you are a serial entrepreneur. What is a serial entrepreneur for the uneducated dirt track fan base that we're talking to? Like,
Okay, well, if you kill somebody once, it makes you a murderer. You kill somebody twice, I
okay,
guess it makes you a double murderer. You kill somebody more than that, you're a serial killer. So
that's
I
next
am the
level.
serial entrepreneur.
Wow.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean that's
You're
an
you're you're
explanation.
starting
I
to you're
mean, you
starting to
wanted one,
sound
I
like
gave it.
you're starting to sound like the intro image of Dennis Erb Jr. all the time. The axe murderer look. But what are you talking about? I mean, come on,
Well,
serial. You go
you
Ed
want
Gein all the way. All right.
yeah, I mean, you do something enough times, you do it in a serial way and I've done a lot of different things in the sport. Sometimes some people forget about some of the past. Some people want to hold on to some of the past, good or bad, doesn't matter. The reality is I've done a lot of things, and so that's why it says that. Although I haven't updated my LinkedIn profile in a long time, I probably should.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
that would explain it.
did the Nice Motorsports deal that ceased to exist? You got out just in time. The files came out. Everybody's going crazy.
No, I mean, yeah, I got out of that just mainly because the Nice deal was the first time I had actually went back to work for someone else, pretty much exclusively, other than promoting the dome as well. And it was a good 2-year run. I just decided it was not for me, and we mutually just decided we were going to go different directions. It wasn't a bad exit or anything like that. It's hard when you do things on your own for so long.
Right.
It is hard to go work for someone else. It is, and yeah, so that would probably be the easiest way
Well,
to explain that one.
wasn't that partnership a part of the way you were able to get Tyler Carpenter into the truck ride? Correct. That was about that partnership, right?
Yeah, so the deal with Nice, I was already committed to I was already committed to moving to be the director of operations in Nice that following year. And then as we were getting close to the dome, Cody Efaw there had said, "Listen, this would be really cool if we gave away a truck ride. Would you be about that?" And I'm like, "Well, of course I'd be about it. I mean, that's something that normally would cost somebody between 50 and $100,000 to buy. So that's almost like making the purse that much higher." I was like, "Of course I would love to do that." And I was like really blessed and thankful that they wanted to do that. So we just put it up like really last minute too. I mean, it was like a week before the event, I think, or something like that, that we announced we were giving away a truck ride as well. And it just so happened to be Tyler Carpenter that won it. And the commitments and the promises were fulfilled, plus some, because Tyler Carpenter ended up getting another opportunity even in it. So, it was a cool deal. It could have obviously went a different could have went a different direction where maybe T Carp would have went on to be a NASCAR guy. How would that have been? Wow, that would have been something else.
Well, obviously we documented that, how they didn't want that to happen.
Uh,
They I mean,
I'm sure they didn't.
I mean, but once again, all of our conspiracy theories here recently over the years with NASCAR and Jeremy Mayfield's and even Tyler Carpenter's do it with their little situation they have coming out. It kind of, validates all that stuff, how it is a close knit group and controlling the image and who can, um, prosper in that image versus the tour in that image. They seem to have they want to have control of that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if they're willing to piss on Richard Childress behind closed doors, who knows what they would do to a Tyler Carpenter. So clearly, not exactly what I expected to see in behind closed doors conversations at the highest professional level of all of motorsports.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, that kind of don't matter for you at this point. I assume you got so many things going on with Gateway, and there's been some other stuff, and we'll talk about that as well. But Gateway definitely being one of these events. A lot of people, they try to get into racing, and it seems like they go the series route. Um, Obviously, it seems like going the series route is a little bit difficult. We see a lot of events though that kind of dictate series success. I mean, a lot of people would almost say that with like the sprint cars, for instance. The reason the Outlaws have the edge on High Limit is because they got, the Knoxville Nationals and Kings Royal, and that is, track decisions. But this was such a whim of an idea that is, breaking the mold, couldn't be done, all the things that we hear and say. And it just seems like this thing's only getting bigger and bigger. Atop, we were just talking about how Saturday at the Dome is potentially, and I tell people all the time, it is the number one show in motorsports. I get it. You could have better racing at the World 100 or even even if you're a sprint car guy or anything, it doesn't matter. Knoxville Nationals, all these things. Yeah, these are great races. Yeah, they have some form of presentation and show. I think Eldora does a good job of presentation, but I don't think there's a better show in motorsports than Saturday at the Dome. Thursday, Friday, that's, everybody can still go. It's fun. It's a good time. But Saturday, if you're there from the doors opening to the doors closed, I don't think you could say there's another dirt event that compares.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously agree, and it's partially by design and partially by just circumstances. But as you mentioned, we as a sport, we get accustomed to the way of life
Right.
following the series, dictations. So you go. I'll use sprint cars as an example. If you're a promoter and want to do a special event and you want to say screw dashes, well, if you're gonna have a World of Outlaw race, you can't say screw dashes. They dictate that, right? So it changes your ability as a promoter to do certain things you want to do. Go to the late model side, you'll never be able to have a competitive pit stop in a series race for Lucas Oil or World of Outlaws, or at least you have not been able to yet. And here, I'm doing one Thursday and Friday. Like, it actually will dictate where these competitors start the field. So that is why I've went the unsanctioned route. Is I want to control our own destiny. I don't want to. I mean, I've promoted series races, obviously, and I've enjoyed those, but it does handcuff you to a degree, and you got to be willing to weather the storm. I mean, I had interest from both World of Outlaws and Lucas Oil on sanctioning the Dome in the early years, and I passed on it and passed on it and passed on it, and surely we could have fallen on our face and it would have not continued, but here we are 9 years later and we're doing as good as we ever have. And I feel like we've weathered that storm. So we control our destiny now, and we're going to continue to do unique things, and we can because we do control our destiny.
Well, how hard is it to definitively control your own destiny? I'm sure there's been outside influences. Obviously, partnering with a reputable streaming broadcast like Flow, that helps a lot. Obviously, Rigsby and that whole crew over there, they're hardcore late model fans. They seem to just want late model racing to be a successor over everything. I think in the sprint car world, you kind of have more so brands wanting to control that than anything. But it does seem like keeping it as your own, doing it as your own. I was curious on how much of an investment it actually takes to get to where you're at. You know, a lot of people see the struggle, they see the success, but I'm assuming there's a lot of dollars and cents that have went into this. And maybe you could even give an idea of when did it actually start profiting from, I'm assuming, some beginning years of losses at the least. When did it start getting into the green overall, this whole venture?
So obviously we wouldn't be here. I mean, it takes common sense, but I mean, we wouldn't be here if it was losing money, right? We wouldn't be 9 years in if it lost money. But the reality is the early years was very risky, like especially year one. I mean, it was crazy risky. And then really all the way through until COVID, so in 2020, the event didn't happen. And that was really detrimental to me personally as a business because you kind of got accustomed to doing something and COVID was detrimental to a lot of businesses, but I was no different. But those early years, all pre 2020, I always, in my inner circle, I would tell people all the time, this event does not make money without streaming dollars and sponsorship. So take all that out of the equation. That means we did not sell enough tickets and put enough people in the seats to make a profit. And if someone was asking me for advice, like which I get a lot of promoters will ask me for advice on things. I'll tell them all the time, if you make a budget for a race, now I'm talking outdoor races, any races. If you make a budget for a race and it cannot make a profit based 100% solely on your ticket sales, do not do the race. And so I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I did that in the early years of the Dome. I would actually risk it on sponsorship dollars and streaming revenue. Otherwise, it wouldn't have made money. Thankfully, it's grown. Post COVID, it's taken off. It's done really well since 2021. It just continues to climb, and we're finally at a point where sponsorship dollars are huge and they're massive for us. But at the end of the day, our fan base alone is able to support the event. And I do a lot of these multi-year deals and things like that with sponsors and streaming platforms, and that's what allows me to make big leaps in like purse money. That makes me go, okay, I'm comfortable now throwing, like this year alone, we're throwing over $150,000 in purse money than we've ever had, and that's because of sponsorship and multi-year deals. If I didn't have those deals, we would just kind of keep it where it is and let the ticket sales cover the cost. But I don't know if that answered your question, but I kind of gave you a little insight on it, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was just talking. We're gonna have a guy on here tomorrow. He's involved with that Arrowhead Speedway down there in Oklahoma, and the other day we were talking about the sprint car series, this new PA sprint car series, and I made a point in there that he thought was very valid, and I was basically, comparing most situations in the sprint car world, at least, to where PA, I was like, y'all are lucky. Y'all are able to do these things because y'all are still working in a front gate mentality. I think the majority of the country right now works on a back gate mentality. I think that's why you see so many classes and so much catering to the drivers and the teams as far as what they want to do because you know, how many people coming to the front gate really ain't what's making these businesses or weekly tracks succeed. It's the back gate. And then most of the grandstands are made up of, if you can get a lot of cars in the back gate, then the uncles and cousins and sisters and brothers come out to watch the people in the back gate. So it's not
Yep.
really a traditional front gate racing operation outside of these hotbeds, I guess you would call it. Late model racing probably has that in Illinois, some parts of the, southeast, and then obviously PA and Ohio, they're kind of iffy. They're a flip of the coin when it comes to that stuff. But one of the interesting things we're going to talk about is streaming, and they're you know it's traditionally known that in the dirt vision world that streaming revenue kind of doesn't get divvied up to the racetracks. Whereas maybe some in some, like for instance sprint car racing, high limit, Flow is willing to offer a little bit. I do think there's a huge dynamic in the sprint car versus late model world, but it is interesting to hear someone like you even say with this degree of an event, that without those early year, sponsorship streaming agreements, that this thing would fail. It couldn't have worked as far as just a pure front gate show.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's just the facts. And I mean, front gate mentality is very difficult to achieve, or I should say, front gate success, not mentality. You can have the mentality all you want as a promoter. It doesn't mean all these people are going to show up and support you. So it's risky to focus on front gate, but the reality is that is the healthiest event you could ever have. Is if your front gate is healthy and able to survive, then you're going to be good. Back gate, I've never been a backgate promoter, backgate focused promoter. I think it's lazy.
What wouldn't
And
you consider that the majority, I would say, of dirt track racing in the country?
it, to a degree, yeah, I would. I mean, and unfortunately, they're put in this position where they kind of have to because they have to pay their bills, and they don't maybe want to take those risks. But they also can't be upset when they're not really climbing the ladder, or they're not maybe creating big events. It's because you're focusing on these back gate things to pay your monthly mortgage, or your weekly, whatevers. And the problem is, when you're stuck in that, you're kind of stuck in the mud. You're not going to be able to build a front gate type of event. And it's hard for a streaming company to come in and want to do something when they see that's all you do too. So I'd like to believe I've shown that I'm willing to take big risks and do front gate events. If I wanted to do something tomorrow and say, "Hey, I'm gonna do this major event," and I go to a streaming company, I'd like to think that they take me seriously and they're willing to pony up or be a part of the event. They're willing to be a part of it and build it because they can see as a front gate what it can do, and really as a streaming service what it can do. So it's just different strategies, different ways of doing things.
Right, and we've obviously seen, like, some failures as far as making it about a streaming deal. It's hard to rely on one thing. It's probably very difficult for you to worry about all elements. Obviously, the risk in trying to start something and then also rely on sponsorship and streaming. But then also, it naturally developed into the show that it is. Um, Obviously, something like the dome, though, so risky, so unique. Do you think that that's the key? If somebody is trying to get an event going, that it has to encompass some kind of rarity. I think that's one of the biggest things as to why your event is successful is the rarity of a dirt track in a dome. And having the dome, the access. I mean, everybody who's looked into it, uh, the luck of the draw of having a vacated football stadium next to a convention center that can be a parking lot for your racers.
Yeah.
It's the perfect scenario to do anything like that. It seems like for you to be trying to give advice, it almost seems like you got to really flip a coin on some luck aspects as well with what you have here as far as uniqueness.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. It's timing and being able to recognize when opportunities present themselves, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that the event's success is just because of every brain cell I have, right? No, I mean, that would be a lie. But at the end of the day, someone had to recognize that the Rams were leaving St. Louis. Someone had to recognize that the floor and the footprint there would work. Someone had to recognize that there's a connected convention center and that a pit area would flow beautifully inside, all indoors. And somebody had to recognize that you could fit upwards to 60,000 people to watch a show there. That's 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 the key. You got to recognize an opportunity and then be willing and able. You have to be willing and able to jump at the opportunity when it presents itself. And back in 2015, that's what happened. And I was just the right guy at the right time, the right mentality, and I made that jump. So it's not easy. It does make it hard for me to give advice because I'll get people call me all the time, like they'll ask me about sponsorship advice, they'll ask me about event advice, all this stuff, and it's like you're asking me trying to compare it to the dome, and you cannot compare it to the dome because we're talking about apples and oranges here. But I still try to give them a little bit of advice because I'd like to believe I've had failures outdoors in event promoting, but I've had success outdoors in event promoting. So I think some people are just always reaching out for just a variety of advice. That's all.
Honestly, the one thing that I think of when I think of you here recently, at least out of everything, is the Mansfield situation. Obviously, you did the Dirt Million there. You tried to put some races on at the old, I guess now, the old Mansfield. They got the new Mansfield being put together. There's a lot of hype around that. Seems like series are getting behind it. What I was curious on asking you, what do you think of this new Mansfield, I guess, era? I feel like some of their social marketing they're doing is next level. How they're putting things together, how they're putting things out. Obviously, Matt over there is doing a good job. It just seems like all the way around, this new era for Mansfield's almost leading the charge on a lot of things as far as doing dirt racing in 2025, 26, and going forward. Have you got to see any of that? Thoughts on that? I'm sure you paid attention to it just a little bit with your history there with the track, trying to put on those events that you did.
Well, yeah, I mean, Matt called me before he bought it. I mean, he called me months before he bought it and told me he was going to take a tour there and did take a tour there and kind of wanted to know the good, bad, the ugly. And I took that as a compliment because, you don't call a guy just because you think he failed or he ruined something. You call a guy because you think he had some good things going. And you kind of like, again, I think he was essentially calling me for advice. I mean, it's no secret he kind of was. So I gave him my advice. I told him I thought it was really risky still, and I still do. Do I wish him all the best? Absolutely. I would not wish anything ill on anybody when it comes to taking a big risk. Um, I think that, there's a lot of elements to the Mansfield part as it pertains to me and why it didn't necessarily work out. I could have stayed. Most people don't realize that. I decided to leave. Um, I had Scott Bloomquist to deal with. I had personal family issues I was dealing with, and it just was the timing. Again, it goes back to timing. Um, Matt is in a different situation than I was. He, sold a charter. He's got a ton of success going his way right now. He lives close by. That is a huge factor, by the way, which was very difficult for me. Um, it's kind of he's just in a position where he might be able to make it work, and I was not in a position where I could, and I had to make some tough decisions, and I decided to move to Mooresburg, Tennessee. And if I was going to move to Mooresburg, Tennessee, I could not continue to do Mansfield and do it justice. So that was why after 3 years I said I'm not going to officially buy the property and move forward. Um, so a lot of people kind of mark what I did there as a failure, but I think if they actually analyze the facts, I would not say anything we did there was a failure. I would say that I just kind of folded my cards. And that's just being honest with myself. I folded my cards and I walked away. But we still made a huge impact on sprint car racing. The Sprint Car World Championship, 1,000% is the reason the King's Royal increased its purse money. It's a fact. And therefore, you could also say that sprint car racing looked at the King's Royal increasing their money and they changed, and they started going a different direction. So I did good things. We had success. The Dirt Million was a big deal. At the time, it was the second highest paying dirt late model events of all time. At the time I did it. So to say it's a failure, I'll never let someone, especially to my face, I'll never let them say it was a failure. However, did I fold my cards? Sure, but just know it was my choice to fold the cards, no one else's.
I don't think I use failure. Did I say failure? I'm not sure, but I guess
No,
people
no, no,
have said
no.
that to
I'm
you. Is
saying a
people
lot
have
of
you seen a lot
people.
of people say that you
Oh yeah,
failed
I
at
get it all the
Mansfield?
time. I hell somebody the other day commented on a dome thing and said, "Does this guy forget the Mansfield fiasco?" It's like, what was the fiasco at Mansfield when I was there? There wasn't a fiasco, other than the rocks. There was a rock issue. So you want to know the one thing I told Matt Tiff when he called me, and I guarantee you he would admit this if you got him on your call. Um, I said the number one thing I should have done differently is dirt. Number one. And I said, the problem is it's extremely expensive. And I had kind of already started. I jumped the gun. We were rolling. It's really hard to do that after you start. So I will commend him and tip my hat to him. He's doing it the right way, or at least it appears that way. He's bringing in dirt. My question's going to be like everybody else's: is it enough dirt? Are them rocks going to still come up through that surface, through that base? It might. I don't know. There's also just some issues with weather in that area. I'm telling you, I don't want to sit here and say it's cursed, but it's got an issue. I mean, it's got a history of issues with weather.
Well, I was just going to say, let's be logistically. I mean, you're a business guy. You've invested and done this thing with Gateway. You've done things at Mansfield. I've done things, been involved in stuff. I mean, just looking at what they've done over there, I mean, how much money are we thinking that's invested already? 2.5 million at least, minimum. I mean, how long is it going to take? I'm just saying. I mean, I hope maybe it was sponsored, maybe it wasn't. I mean, moving dirt's not cheap.
No, I mean, according to him, I think I watched one of his videos where it was like $6 million he had invested, and again, think about what you got to do to recoup that.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
like,
how many years it takes?
Yeah, it's like
now again, I'm wishing him the best, but the numbers aren't adding up to me personally. If it was my business decision, absolutely not. I would not have invested. Clearly, it's the reason I folded my cards. Like I said, I was not willing to do what he's doing. Call me dumb, call me smart. You know, I don't know, but I wish him the best. And I guess he had more cabbage than I had. I guess. I mean, that's all I can say. I mean, he's willing to do it, and I wasn't. That's all.
Well, I mean, if you sell a charter, I don't know if it was post or pre-Spire getting involved. We had a show the other night that went into the whole Spire Motorsports. They think it's a shadow company of NASCAR, but that's a whole nother conversation. And they're getting into the sprint car world, very scary. But regardless, obviously, be able to spend. And I was way under. I said 2.5. I was thinking he got some help or something like that. $6 million publicly at this point. We have an idea, I think, of the ins and outs of the dirt track racing world. To recoup $6 million in profits in dirt racing.
The biggest one of the biggest dirt races in the country would need to run, and I think we know which one we're talking about because you're talking to the guy, would have to run successfully for 4 or 5 years to consider that kind of revenue. So,
and you got 60,000 seats at disposal.
Exactly, and that's my point. Like, the numbers don't add up to me. Now, again, that's not me wishing ill or calling him dumb or anything like that. I would never do that. It's just saying that they're not adding up for me, and I was not willing to do that. Is he doing all the right things? 100%. If you, in my opinion, if you're not looking at the books, if you're not caring about the, potential revenue and the potential business model. But at the same time, I wasn't willing to do turkey trots and pie eating contests and, you name it.
Savannah Banana,
figure 8 deals, whatever.
Baseball games. Yep.
Yeah, I was not willing to do all that stuff. I wanted to promote big time circle track races. That was my thing. And I could not do enough of those to justify the costs that it would take to make Mansfield great again.
I don't think anybody. I mean, do you think anybody? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it does. How I'm justifying what I'm seeing, what they're doing at Mansfield is this guy obviously loves racing. I mean, he got involved to the point of a NASCAR charter, so he loves racing. He didn't want to be in NASCAR anymore. It seems like obviously sold, got out, and maybe he's looking at this as like, I want to be Tony Stewart in 40 years, or I want to be, one of these grand successing track owner operator guys. A lot of people get a lot of money and they buy a yacht, that costs more than $6 million, and that's their joyride for life. I think when everyone in racing sees them do what they've done and make these levels of investments, that is more so what I think I take away from it. Yeah, it's going to have great races. Yeah, it's going to have all these things. It's going to have hype. Once again, I think their marketing is above everyone else right now. But I also see the investment more so as a lifetime. This is what I want to do. This is my yacht. This is going to be not a hobby. Obviously, there can be money made, but once again, the numbers would take 10 to 20 years, maybe. I mean, to make that up.
It's clearly a long-term investment for Matt, and I respect that. And I think that's definitely the way you have to look at it. I was maybe wanting it to happen faster than he is. But yeah, I mean, I guess you'll have to do a show with him at some point and kind of get where his total headspace is on that. But the reality is, I think it has to be a long-term game, because you're not going to do 2 or 3 years of events and expect to pull in $6-8 million to cover your costs, and it's going to take time. And I hope it works for him. And I obviously had a passion for that place and that region. I mean, I met my wife there, so I mean, it's got some good memories. It's just I just wasn't willing to stick it out like he was, but I don't think that made what we did a failure. It just it's just different mentality.
It definitely seems like the system's on his side a little more, if that makes sense too. It seems like, once again, World Outlaw events there, two of them, a late model and a sprint car. I felt like you didn't get that support when you had
No,
the
and
reins.
no, and I mean, I think again, everything's about timing. You got sprint car wars going on right now, but when I was there was no sprint car wars. It was World of Outlaws. I
Your
met
one
with
race
Tom
was the
Deary.
war. Your little 100,000 that Cody Jacobs, who's the crew chief of David now, Cody
Yeah, and
Jacobs and Tim Schaefer won.
well, well, and I met with Tom Deary, and I met with Brian Carter, and I met with these people, and they were not willing to play the game of business with a promoter that wanted to be innovative and different. They wanted to run the show. Like going back to the beginning of our conversation here, they didn't want to play ball with a guy wanting to alter things and do things a little differently. And
Well, and weren't
because the
it wasn't it
opportunity
you in
was
one
there for
of
the Outlaws.
it was you, I believe, in one of our early shows. Not to cut you off, but I believe in one of our other shows, you said that you were in negotiations with them to have a World Outlaw show, and then the one weekend that you were planning on collaborating with them, that's when they scheduled the Nashville race on top of the one weekend you were going to put
Yes,
something on.
100%. 100%. And that was when I knew, okay, they um, they can say what they want, but they were intimidated by me. And everything's about timing. Again, Roger Slack was over at Eldora. Roger Slack was very in the thick with the World of Outlaws. Roger Slack was calling me all the time during that time. We were talking often. He was asking the types of questions that people would ask if they're trying to keep their enemies close to them, if you're following me. So again, it's all about timing. Levi at Eldora right now, he's one of the greatest open-minded people that you could ever have running that place. You think he wishes anything ill against Matt Tift or sprint car racing? Absolutely not. So that opens the door for a Matt Tift to book a race, because now somebody isn't in the pocket of the World Outlaw office influencing decisions. And that's just the reality, in my opinion, of how this has all transpired. I had Lucas Oil at the racetrack, but with the Dirt Million. But at that time, the World of Outlaws and their late model program was, I don't want to say it was in shambles, but it was not what it is right now. Okay? And so I personally didn't have interest in having the World of Outlaw late models. I maybe could have had them, but everything's about timing. And the timing for him right now, it's working out where he can have some of these big shows. But with big shows comes big responsibility, and it comes big finances. I mean, again, long-term, big picture investing. He's doing all the right things, and I hope it works out.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things I think that's kind of sneakily there, with that whole Eldora Mansfield thing at this point, with the Outlaws booking a show there, is, hey, I mean, Tony Stewart is now, technically a car owner with High Limit. High Limit's already got a piece of that Kings Royal weekend. Now everybody can still say they love tradition and all that, but if so happens, a few years go by and the High Limit wave gets bigger, and now all of a sudden they potentially, not only take a team like Tony Stewart to their side, but they take an event like Kings Royal to their side eventually. You know, maybe World Outlaws need somewhere else to go in Ohio, and Mansfield's the perfect opportunity. I just see the strategy in that as well.
100%. And again, it goes back to timing. I mean, if you're any one of those organizations, you're absolutely looking to cover your own ass. Why wouldn't you? I mean, you're looking to leverage your relationships and put people in your corner. And again, at the time, there was no high limit when I did it, right? There wasn't any question of World Outlaw Power, none of that. I mean, and at the time, Lucas Oil was the leading sanctioning late model group, and nobody could deny that at that time. And so, yeah, I mean, I think he's doing all the right things, and we'll see how it works out.
I mean, you ain't dealt with it in a long time, but how different was that, or how different do you think it still might be, the world of the sprint car industry and the late model industry? It does seem like late model industry is a little more open and works together. Do you consider like what we're seeing now, maybe that same time period for the late model industry? Like just sprint cars now, it definitely seems a little more cutthroat than it's ever been.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think they're more similar now than they ever have been. Personally, that's my perspective on it. I think that tracks and both sanctioning bodies are jumping quickly at opportunities. They don't want to feel like they missed one. I think that's why you see some of the things happening that you see, some of the bookings you see, events changing like you see. But transparently, I don't follow the sprint car stuff a lot. So I can't really offer. I don't follow it a lot anymore. When I was at Mansfield, I was following it much closer because I had a vested interest in it. I don't really have a vested interest in it right now, so I don't follow it that closely. And on the late model side, I guess also, quite frankly, I don't need either one of them. I don't need Lucas and I don't need World of Outlaws. So I really don't follow them that closely either. I mean, other than going to races with my own stuff and DRT and enjoying the events I enjoy, which I love. I mean, I love the World 100. It's the number one event in the world. I mean, in my opinion, it is in dirt track racing. So it's my favorite event. So I follow what I want to follow, I guess, and I'm fortunate I can do that, and I don't have to get involved with all these other aspects. But right now, I think they're the most similar they've ever been because they are competing, and that's on both the streaming side, plus the sanctioning side, and competing for competitors. So I don't know how you couldn't say they're the most comparable than they ever have.
Oh, definitely. I think it's insane. Speaking of insane, I haven't ever done this in a show, but I have to use the restroom. Can I get like 30 seconds from you to take a break? I just have to.
Do it.
I've never
Do
done
whatever
this
you gotta
before.
do.
Are you okay with that? How about you explain this
Hell, I'm
DRT
not the one
deal?
that's going to grill you for it. It's
Eh,
going to be your viewers that are grilling you that you can't hold a piss
Oh,
for
come on. I've been
30
holding it for
seconds.
20 minutes.
I'm just
No.
telling you what they're going to
I
tell
mean,
you.
hey, I mean, people can hate me all they want. They'd rather me come back with a non-red face. I'm sure they saw it boiling from
They're
this point.
probably just gonna ask why you didn't just take it to the restroom.
I was looking for a bottle to grab real quick, but I was like, no, I'm not doing that. That's just too redneck. I can't do it.
Here, when you're gone, I'll go ahead and entertain your fan base.
Oh my
I'll
god.
say whatever I want to say.
Oh my god.
Off script.
Off script, huh? I'll put the chat up on the screen so they can yell at. Speakers
Yeah.
on.
I didn't grill you or anything too bad. I plugged the dome.
Yep.
And I said, this is why you don't do live shows.
This is why you don't do live shows. I didn't even do that on the Tony
Yeah.
Stewart show, and I had him on for 3.5 hours. That's
Well,
truth.
maybe I made you nervous and you had to drink a little bit before I got on.
A little bit before. What are you talking about? We're doing it during. No, I'm just playing.
Well,
No, yeah, I think the Mansfield thing's interesting. Sprint cars, though, that's what everybody wants, right? That's what they want at the Dome. Sprint cars at the Dome, obviously, everybody's been talking about it. They want it, or they think they do. What is your
who's saying that? Because I don't see it. Who's saying that? I don't see it.
Everyone
Hell,
wants
I tried the
sprint
midget
cars
deal, and they dropped the ball. They had the ball in their hand for the touchdown, and they all
Listen. Don't be
dropped
talking
it.
about Rico
All
like
of them.
that. Oh wait, you're talking about the cars. No, I'm just playing. No. Everybody wants sprint cars. Midgets don't sell. I mean, midgets are. I feel like you got blackballed on that thing by the Chili Bowl, in my opinion, personally.
Well, it's funny how now I got every midget racer in the damn country telling me they want to be back at the Dome, and I just look at them all the same way every time. Man, I'm a bit of a loyalist. I am, and I have no reason to make midgets part of the Gateway Dirt Nationals anyway. Now,
Well,
would I do
this is
a
what I was about
standoff
to
its
say.
own event? Maybe,
Yeah,
but
yeah. So there is entertainment for an open wheel weekend or prelude. How could this work?
I wouldn't even call it a prelude because I think it could definitely stand on its own.
I
So I would
just think
never
the
want to.
opportunity to mix the two fan bases, that's how you get 60,000, in my opinion.
I think we get to 60,000 someday without doing that. Honestly, I think
No
it's
disagreement. No
growing.
disagreement.
Yeah, and but I do not disagree with you on an open wheel weekend. But does it need to be back to back? Does it need to be even tied together? I don't think so, and I have not ruled it out. It's been every year I'm considering it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm considering, I'm looking at it. The reality is I have a sour taste in my mouth on midgets.
Get rid
And
of
the
them.
reality is on the sprint cars, there's a huge element to the speed and the height, and there's just some things that would need to change racetrack wise and fence wise. You know, I'll never forget when I
Jacksonville.
did that test.
Hold on, Jackson. But you had Landon Simon driving. All right, no offense to Landon, but it was Landon Simon in that test, correct?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
That's not, he's not a he's not a David Gravel. Can we say that? I don't think he's a Landon Crawley. I think I'm just saying. I think there's some 305 guys better. So I don't know if you could judge sprint cars on that racetrack based on the Landon Simon test. Is what I'm saying.
I'll tell you what. When Donnie Schatz and David Gravel and Brad Sweet and give me some more because you're the sprint car guy.
Yeah, I was my plan on this show today. My goal was for you to tell me a number we need to get to, and I could put on a damn GoFundMe. And we would match. I can get the drivers going. Getting there is not a problem. I'll go slap them around. They'll show up.
But the reality is, I'm not going to even consider it until those types of guys are, I don't want to say begging for it, but making it very clear that they want it. Because I've already done the risk part with it all.
Right.
I've done
but you did it with midgets.
Throw it up on the wall and hope it sticks. But
you did it with midgets.
I don't need to keep doing that, and I don't need to, and I don't want to keep doing that. So would I do something if enough came to me and said, Cody, let's do this thing? I'd say it'd be hard not to.
That's what I want to know before this show's over. What's the dollar amount? Because I know people, Cody. What's the dollar amount?
It ain't about dollars. It's about names.
No. Because the people I'm talking to are the names. They tell the names where to go. What's the dollar amount that needs to be brought to you with this event to have sprint cars? Do we need to cover the purse? Do we need to cover rents? What do we need to do? I need a dollar amount.
So here's what it costs. It costs $1 million to put on the Gateway Dirt Nationals. So would you want a sprint car race to be very compatible? 50,000 a win, 2,000-3,000 to start.
Well, hold on. You don't have to do that. The sprint car guys will race for pennies as long as their buddies say, "Come on." They're running national events for 12,000 to win. It's different.
But also remember what I said. I'm a front gate promoter. I won't just do something just half-assed. I don't want to just put on an event. It would be, I would want to do something that literally transforms even the sprint car industry. And because if you remember back in 2015, 2016, some of these super late model guys, they could have gave a shit less about the dome. Now they all love it and they all want to be a part of it. Well, I would have the same mentality in sprint car racing. But I still got to have, that first year I still had Scott Bloomquist. I still had Jason Fager. I still had Shan Babb. I still had Darrell Lanigan. I still had those names. I had people.
Well, I mean,
I have as many as I have now? No, but I gotta have some. I gotta have some interest in some big names to even consider it.
I mean, I'm just thinking I have some pretty close ties to a few of the car owners of the bigger names, and I'm pretty convincible in selling the value of this idea. I do think one of the reasons that you are properly right in it being separate is I do think, and don't get offended, I do think that a sprint car, if you had an open wheel race there, period, and it was just open wheel, and say you had midgets, wing sprint cars, non-wing sprint cars, say that was a 3-division show, for instance, or just 410 sprint cars in 305s or whatever. I don't think the track would get as ripply. I feel like there's a lot of pressure in the late models, especially in the modifieds, as far as inertia into the ground with the weight into the corner with the tight corners. I think that's kind of what chops the track up a little bit more so than the dirt, more so than the preparation. It's just the inertia, the weight of the cars. I do think that if you did some kind of standalone thing with just sprint cars or open wheel vehicles, that you wouldn't have as many ruts, if that makes sense. Because the bigger cars, especially the 410, they kind of skate on top of the track more so, and their speed is, they're straight axle vehicles, whereas they're not suspension based and chassis digging in. I think that's where you do get some of your roughness that people complain about with Gateway. Now it's gotten better, it's been worse, it's been this, it's been that. But I do think that some form of a dedicated sprint car race would be safer just on that aspect alone, because they're straight axle cars with a bunch of horsepower and they more so spin on top of the track than dig in. I think we even saw that with the midgets when they were there.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll take this as an opportunity to address the track prep rough thing. First and foremost, at least the last 2 years, you would be hard to find a competitor that went to the Gateway Dirt Nationals. Now, I'm not saying there ain't a handful. I'm sure that maybe the track bit them. But the reality is the greater majority, which is what I always focus on, you would be hard to find any of them that thinks that the way we prep the track and what we do is rough or bad. The majority of what you hear, people calling it a demo derby or rough conditions, is fans that have nothing to fucking do with racing on. So ask the teams what they want. And I could share you a text message right now from 2 years ago with Brandon Shepard after we made a racetrack that was perfectly smooth and slick to the top, not a hole in it one. And he texted me, "You need to make this bitch rough." Okay? So this whole notion of
right. Well,
we can make it
and maybe
we've done it.
Go ahead.
We've done it. We know how to make it smooth and slick. The reality is the racing's terrible. It's terrible smooth and slick. There's no drama. There's no major shift changes. It's the same fast competitive guys that run same fast competitive outdoors all year long. They're the ones that go to the front because it's smooth and slick. That roughness is what creates the drama and creates the equalization that the Dome has. And on the sprint car side of things,
and I was only saying
right.
that because of the safety aspect. That's the only reason I was saying that. I think that
no, and I don't know that the safety of the sprint cars is what scared me as much as just my equipment. My fence is just it's done us good over the years, but as everybody saw last year, it kind of bit us a little bit because the cars are going faster. We're making the racing better, and they just got going too fast on the top, and that's why we had a couple go out of the park. And so we made some changes this year. But to run sprint cars, it's no secret that they get upside down a lot easier than these late models do.
Well, and that's the only reason I wasn't making fun of the racetrack or saying it's trash. People do obviously comment. You're making the point there. It's obviously a for real thing. Brandon Shepard, he's from Jacksonville Speedway. I'm sure he likes it short and rough. But I'm simply saying if you mix in, say you threw sprint cars in as a showcase night Thursday of the Gateway Dirt Nationals next year, you did a full race, invite only, David Gravel, Kofoid Shots, all these guys that I know we could easily get. And you did a showcase on Thursday night. You did it with late models. If the late models and modifieds go out there and create a little bit of a rut, that's what we've been seeing. I mean, that is when you do have that opportunity to send a damn sprint car close to the grandstands. I mean, that's how that happens.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the roughness is certainly dictated by the type of vehicle that's on it. Modifieds are really rough on our track because they're heavier and their tires skinnier. Sprint cars and midgets, they glide over bumps a lot easier. They're lighter the way that they're, torsion bars.
It's the suspension, correct. It's a straight axle vehicle.
Yeah. So certainly, but you also wouldn't want it to be just smooth and slick. It wouldn't be a great show. I mean, it wouldn't. You want some chop and some character, even on the sprint car side. Now, would you want the holes to be 12 inches deep? No, you wouldn't want that. And unfortunately, racing the two together, you might get that.
That's what I was
And
saying. I wasn't trashing your track,
yeah,
but
no,
there,
I know you weren't.
but
I
there
was
are
just
well,
pointing out.
and here's the deal. I
Well,
mean,
I just
even
hate the people that say the shit about the racetrack when they have no idea that the teams love it the way that it is, and it puts on a great show.
well, and at the same time, I think that's why you have a bunch of guys. They halfway enjoy it. I know there's probably some teams that won't even come race because of it. But there is some other guys that, if they're racing the regular season, they plan to go to the dome every single year. If they go into, a big time event and they go into the corner and they get into a big wreck and it tweaks the chassis a little bit, I know guys who put that car off to the side and say, well, that's our dome car.
Yeah, 100%. I know guys that do it too. I know guys that sell the car as soon as the dome's over too. Like they're done. They ain't gonna race it again. And so makes sense.
What do we got to do? I only got you for 15 or 10 more minutes. What's the price
Yeah.
tag, Cody? I'll start a GoFundMe right now. You need the cars. That's not a problem. All these sprint car guys are short. They got big egos. We just need to talk bad about them. They'll be there. It's like Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. As long as you keep talking, eventually the giant shows up. So what has to happen? What is the dollar amount? What needs to be brought to you with this scenario to have sprint cars in the building? I just need this answer. That's all I'm here for.
Well, see, you're
I'm the
backing me in
closest
a
thing to
corner
you in
here.
the sprint car world that there is. I'm just broke and not from North Carolina. Continue. No, I'm sorry.
Well, the reality is, I told you, it takes the names. So
That's
even
not a
if I
problem.
told
What's the
you,
number money wise? Tell me.
if there was a number, it's $1 million, period.
You,
But
but
if you
okay,
just
there's a
walked
but.
up to me and said, "Hey, Cody, here's $1 million, so now you're putting on the sprint car race, right?" I would still tell you, but it depends. Who's
Oh my
coming?
God, you prima donna late model people, you
You
always
want me?
bitch
You
when the
want me to
track ain't
just
perfect.
take $1 million and put on a sprint car race when I have no idea who's going to come? Because reputation matters, right? And it's like,
Well, I know
but
there's some
also
people in
because of
Australia right now, but we will crocodile Dundee their mouth shut to get sprint cars in the dome. I'm telling you right now, the names aren't the problem. The show is. I'm talking about the guy with the show right now. That's you. You're saying $1 million.
then it's $1 million.
You're saying $1 million. We have to bring $1
Because I
million.
know what it costs and I know what the purses are. I
So
know what it costs and I know
$1
what the
million
purses are.
to do a sprint car showcase on Thursday.
Well, that's not
See, so what are we
necessarily
talking
that.
about?
I'm
So what is
talking
a
a
million? Okay, hold
standalone
on.
event.
Okay, so we're past.
I'm
We got
talking
the
a standalone
names.
event.
We got the names. Fine. We got the names. We're past the $1 million. What's the show that's going to happen with you, Cody Sommer, with the names, with the $1 million for sprint cars at the Dome? When? How? What's the logistic?
Well, the win is complicated because the dome is actually busier than most people think. But let's just say I'm a smart guy. I would find a date that made really good sense for everybody. It would clearly not be July, and it would make sense. It would be an off-season type of deal, whether it be pre-speed weeks, whether it be in December, November, January, somewhere in that time
Everyone would
frame.
want it to be in December, somewhere around your event, so you can tando the two in some capacity. Or
And
are you
and
thinking
and maybe
business
it
wise, you
would.
want to separate it so that it doesn't affect either one?
And maybe it would, but I'm not going to give you an exact date because I couldn't possibly give you an exact date right now, but I will tell you it would be in that window and it would be really close to that December time frame. It would be probably minimum 2 day show, maybe 3 right out of the gate, but it would be a minimum 2 day show, and it would be a standalone event, and it would be streamed. Um,
On
Probably not with
FS1?
Dirt
On
Vision. I could
FS1?
tell you that. Actually, I could just go ahead and tell you not with Dirt Vision. It would be streamed. I'll just say that, but definitely not with them.
Oh damn! You just lost the entire outlaw roster. We can't say that now. We had to say it after we signed contracts with David.
We can say whatever we want, and
I had to sign the
unfortunately,
contract with
and
David. Maybe Dirt Vision's bringing the million. I mean,
I don't know if I would take Brian Carter's money, honestly.
wow. You have a thing against the Outlaws this bad. Brian Carter, you don't trust him?
No, I have a thing against Brian Carter.
You don't trust him?
Of course I don't trust him. He's a liar.
Oh, my. How you only got 10 minutes left. I mean, you have to explain you can't say that. That's Darth Vader himself,
I think Brian
Cody.
Carter, I think Brian Carter cares a lot about his people, so I'll give him respect on that. I think he cares a lot about his own people, but he does not care about anybody else other than his own people. That's
this
my
is becoming
opinion.
a Logan Paul situation with the Sammy guy. What do you so you think that Brian Carter?
I'll let Brian Carter in. Brian Carter knows why I don't like him, and he can answer that for you. And if you can get him on a show, but he probably won't do it. He probably won't do it, but you can get him on a show. He knows why I don't like him. And he knows why I can actually factually sit here and call him a liar flat out. I can.
Well,
I can call him a misleader. I can call him a lot of things. I'm not being ugly. You're sitting here telling me why would I rule out Dirt Vision right away? Well, it's because I don't do business with people I don't trust. I don't do business with people I don't like. I don't do business with people that I think are going to turn their back on me. It ain't going to happen. And so Dirt Vision is out of the question.
Well, I would agree with you, but don't you think there's a little bit of a misconception there? Just a little bit. I mean, not with Brian Carter, but I would say the flow racing side of the late model industry, I would trust way more than the sprint car side of the flow racing industry. You know, I mean, I don't know.
Well, you're just trying to make it about other things. I'm making it about a personal experience myself. That's all. Like.
Well, that's why I would be.
You're looking at it from somebody not.
No. My personal experience to not like flow on the sprint car side would be, or my reason to not like flow on the sprint car side would be personal experience with. It seems like the people who are pulling the strings on that side of it. I don't think Rigsby and all them are sprint car people. For instance, I think
All right,
that's
here
like,
I'll give you a better one. It'll be $2 million if you're Brian Carter and Dirt Vision. It'll be $1 million anybody else.
Now, when you say anybody else, it could be a private entity, bring their own gig, but they just got to pay a certain amount.
I would say let's have a meeting. That's what I would say.
And then at $1 million, that's to hire you as the coordinator, to put it on, to pay the person, everything. If I'm bringing a guy who's giving you...
We also have exclusivity at the Dome, too. So, like...
Right. All these things.
You can't do a race at the Dome if we don't do it.
Right.
So it's one of those things.
You're the consultant, you're the coordinator, you're the guy, you're the Jerry Maguire, you're doing everything.
I also think we're the right people, too. I mean, obviously, we know how to do it. We clearly have the tools and people and the methods and the process in place. And a lot of people want to believe that they could just come in and do what we do, but I can promise you it's not that simple. It is not that simple. And
I feel like Matt Tiff would say differently. No, I'm just playing.
Say that again?
I said I feel like Matt Tiff would say differently. That was kind of a smart-ass remark, but continue. I was joking.
Oh, no. Well, when it comes to Mansfield, sure. I mean, you could say differently.
No, I'm
simply a whole different animal.
No, I understand that the Dome is not intricate. Technically, everybody laughed at it for the first 4 or 5 years, you know? So,
yeah.
I don't think that at all. So, but no, I was just simply saying, a guy brings in $1 million because I'm telling you, Cody, there's people I know that will bring $1 million to have this happen. That guy who brings that, or this group, can't be Brian Carter and Dirt Vision. That's fine. Screw the guy with, once again, he's Darth Vader.
I wouldn't say can't be. I mean, I know I did say that, but the reality is, I would say it's very, 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 very unlikely for it to happen with Brian Carter and World Racing Group and ourselves.
Is there if we were to collaborate this package of $1 million, is there any ROI, or is this just simply for the love of the sport?
No, there's ROI potential. I obviously do everything with love for the sport, but at the end of the day, I'm not in business to. I'm not going to spend. You realize I come to the Dome and I spend my whole year working on this, and then I also leave my kids and everything and come here for 3 weeks. It's like you got to have love for this, but it also has to have a financial benefit. Otherwise, why would you do that? Why would you lose that time with your family and with your work and everything else you do? So there's clearly a financial benefit. I think you're kind of keen on or asking, like, if someone was to come up with money as an investment, would they see a potential return? Well, now you're talking what I consider having partners, and I don't know that I am considering having partners. I would say that's not
Well,
likely
not even a
either.
partner. But what would
But
a ideal scenario on somebody who wants to make this happen? What would a benefit of that investment be? Not like partnership. I'm just asking, what would some form of ROI be?
Well, obviously, if someone said, "Hey, or here's a $500,000, can I stream it?" That's a form of ROI. Here's a $500,000. I want the whole thing to be titled "Big Game Tree Stands Dome
No, you're
Sprint Cars,"
catching my
right?
drift now.
Okay.
This is why I guarantee you we can get gravel. Hold on,
No,
I'm
and
texting the people as we talk. They already told me they're interested. But anyway, continue.
well, but see, this is why. This is another reason why I have a problem with. Let's just call it Blue, okay? Blue meaning World Racing Group. Um,
You
it's
sly
already out there, so
motherfucker. You
you
sly
already
motherfucker.
screwed me and put it out there. But
You
here's the deal. But here's why I don't trust them, because they won't let a guy just go do that with a guy like me. They won't, and that is wrong. It is so poor and so bad for our sport. It is so bad, and it should be an open market. It should be let a guy go
It
race
should be
wherever he wants to
America,
race.
a free market. Is what you're saying.
Yes, and see, and that's another thing that bothers me. That's a whole separate conversation that we can't have because,
Hold
as
on,
you
but don't
know,
you think that if Flo and High Limit and all them guys had the power, they want to be just as protective? I think I understand this other element.
they have the right to be.
Well, that's what.
They
But does
sure
it?
that
But then doesn't World Racing Group have the right to be since they're established already? That's all I'm saying. I mean, I get their
they certainly have the
arrogantness.
right, just like I have the right to say I don't like that type of business strategy and style, and that's why I don't want to do business with them.
But all I'm
It's
saying
just
is the only
it's no
reason.
different.
All I'm saying is the only reason the other side has their type of business structure and style is because they don't have the power to be the other side. You know, they don't have the stranglehold on industries to be able to pull those types of moves. You know,
Yeah. No,
so
I mean I don't
it's.
disagree.
I mean, it's self defense in a way. I mean, but no, I think, and I've always talked against, and I think that's partially why you're on the show right now. Is I've always talked against the power struggle, the cliques, the mafia mentality, the bullying.
I
And
wouldn't be on this show if I didn't like some of what you had to say.
right.
Anyway.
I mean, I feel like Tony Stewart was the same. You know, I mean, some of the maybe there's some shit I say that you don't like. That's fine. Gordy Gundecker has a better mustache than me. That's fine. But what I'm saying is like I do think that there's some people playing like, for instance, like High Limit says we have a freedom schedule. Well, do you? You take off all the weekends when the World of Outlaws have Kings Royal and Williams Grove National Opens and Knoxville Nationals. If you had those weekends as your sanction, would you have those weekends off? Probably not. Now all of a sudden you want to have a freedom schedule. So I just see
Yeah.
manipulation as far as like you can say you're more free in giving, but you have to be more free in giving. You know, that's the only cards you have to play. Sprint
Yeah,
cars are
yeah,
coming
I
to the
mean it
dome.
is. I
Sprint
mean,
cars are coming to the dome, Cody. You already. We'll get off the subject. I get. You understand what I'm saying. I don't want to keep on and you. Well, let's just argue on the same or talk about the same thing. But sprint cars are coming to the dome. $1 million. It's happening. Standalone weekend with big blocks. I mean, I think that could work too. You know, 410s, big blocks, maybe midgets. I think.
I'm friends with Matt Shepard, and we just talked about this at the World Finals actually,
Oh,
and
You think about
And
how,
he laughed at the idea, but he also said that he would probably not be able to miss it. He
right,
didn't necessarily think that it would be great, but he wouldn't miss it.
right.
So, but again, we're talking about the blue banner there. So,
No, we're not talking about because the blue banner is getting shoved out right now. You know, the Darth Vader has the Death Star and it's exploding. You know, the solar eclipse is coming for their ass. So,
I say it's a better chance that the dome would be labeled as a high limit race than it would anything else. But
I think your
I've
event.
never spoke to Brad Sweet about it. So
I think your event, just like the real events of our industry, if you really truly think about them, they don't need a sanction at all. Period. They
no, and
don't.
I agree, but you're not going to get the names then because I
Once the
absolutely do
season
not think
ends,
Brad Sweet would ever
hold on.
encourage his guys not to support something like that. But I do know the other side 100% would.
But hold on
And
now.
that
Once
is
the
why
season ends, the contract is over. Right now, Flow Racing is promoting Carson Macedo and Buddy Kofoid coming to Perth Motorplex for the High Limit International. So, once that,
yeah,
and
and
I've
I haven't
talked to
thought
them.
about that fact that the off season is technically a free market. It's almost like free agency in a way.
It's
So I haven't
open to
thought
whatever
about
they
that.
want to do.
So there's some truth to that.
Yeah. Oh, I've studied this,
But
Cody.
see, now
There's a
we've
reason
already
we got you on
ruined
the
it.
show. There's a reason we got you on the show. I studied this shit. Right? I'm not coming here with $1 million GoFundMe starting tomorrow. That's the number. $1 million. Okay. Okay. And then can we put in
$1 million.
there kind of like some crypto investment? Every dollar made on streaming goes back to your investment or something. I don't know how to do that. We did bring Bitcoin. We did bring Bitcoin.
How about when you get close, have the powers to be, make the phone call and let's have a meeting. That's what I say.
We did bring Bitcoin and Tyler Walker this year to sprint car racing. I'm just saying that. We did do that. We did.
How's that working out?
It didn't work out great at all. But we did have sprint cars at the Asian Bitcoin conference. Everybody in Japan's all of a sudden a big fan, or China's a big fan. Beijing, they're everywhere. They're like, what's that thing? Which, once again, that's what I think dirt racing's missing is, normal general population exposure. So I thought that was a huge thing to introduce a car to represent a community. And instead of Bubba Wallace with black people, it was like Bitcoin with the community of Bitcoin people. That's how I viewed it, And there was a lot of new people that saw sprint car racing for the first time due to that partnership. So I don't know. Maybe I just think that this event in the Dome, I believe we talked on one of our earlier shows that, I was talking to Field Entertainment with, the Monster Jam and Supercross and all that. I think there is an element with wintertime dome racing that's definitely missing. And you've obviously hit the home run here with the Gateway Show. And I think that sprint car racing and all this is just another fan base element that's missing right now. So $1 million, it's a hefty price, but I think it's revolutionary.
Just what it costs.
I think it's revolutionary. I think it's a revolutionary idea, and I think there's enough people I know with finances that would pay for that to happen. Period.
Well, I would love to see it. It would certainly make it easier for me to do because that risk would greatly, I wouldn't say entirely fall off of me, but it would greatly fall off of me.
You've already backed off to $500,000, so you're half in now, is what you're saying.
Well, I'm just saying that if someone was to come forward with that kind of support, it would make, I still have worries, but it would alleviate a lot of them.
But there's no return on investment. They won't get a suite for free, nothing, no tickets.
Oh no, that's not true. That's not true.
I'm texting Brian Carter right now. He's thinking about it.
There's certainly benefits and perks to being involved in spending and investing large amounts of money. That's whether you call that ROI or perks or benefits,
status.
There's certainly things that anybody, heck, I have sponsors that spend $3,000 at the Dome and they have plenty of benefits. You know what I mean? So the more you spend, the more you get. It's kind of the way the world goes round. So
okay. So it's happening. It's coming. Now
go to the drawing board.
Pandora's box is open. It's 6:31. You've stayed past your time limit. You said 6:30. You have other obligations or reservations. I know
Yes,
now that's
sir.
not a
Yes,
phone call
sir.
with Brian Carter and World Racing Group. But $1 million. Okay. We're getting on the horn.
One can dream, right?
No, there's no
Hey,
dreams in this.
if your dreams don't scare the shit out of you, you should have bigger dreams.
Well, I mean, technically, life is a dream. You know, row, row, row your boat is a Freemason symbolic quotation. So, this is and I get, you know, the 13 on the DRT car, obviously, Big Brother. There's a lot of symbolism that you do here, Cody, with this gateway, and it's scary. St. Louis, you know, the Catholics. At the end, you're laughing. Listen to his creepy laugh, Sean. But we wanted to talk about your car you're giving away. Is that still active? Before we get out of here, I got a hint on that. Is that still a deal, or is all raffle tickets sold?
No, you can buy tickets all the way up until
So what is it once
the
again?
drawing.
Let's like reset. On the Facebook page, Race DRT chassis. I believe that's a chassis you're developed or have developed and is racing. You get a chance to win a DRT. Is it a roller? It's not race ready, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's not race ready. It's a roller. It's a roller plus $20,000 cash. All you basically got to do, if you buy a T-shirt that costs $30, for example, that gets you 30 entries into the drawing.
Okay, and that's at racedrt.com.
$5.
Racedrt.com.
Yeah,
we're looking at it. We got it on the screen right now.
Yep, and you know, that's just one way you can enter, but you could also do Fast Pass, which is just buying entry tickets, you know, not buying merchandise. But I always think that it's pretty cool because most of us go to an event, we buy a $30 T-shirt, and we just get that T-shirt. Well, this is no different. You get that T-shirt, but you also get entered to win this contest.
What about the die cast, though?
To me, yeah, I mean, you can buy a die cast, and there's entries. You can buy decals, there's entries. I mean, anything you can think of, there's a bunch of different options on there. We just dropped our Dome merchandise for our Dome car on there, so and you can do it at the event as well at Gateway. You can. We got the car on display. You can buy merchandise there at the event, and that gets you entered to win. And it's just a thing.
Which the driver is Dylan.
The
driver is Dylan Thornton, which you unfortunately had to realize is not related to Ricky or Jeremy Thornton. Unfortunately.
He is Dylan Thornton. Yes, he is not related.
But he's a good IMCA driver, and how can you not be related? It's kind of weird, honestly. It's like watching the Mennonites
must have
and
known
the Amish.
Somebody or something.
Yeah, this is some Charlie Kirk shit going on, for sure. But anyway, no, I'm just kidding. So when is that drawing going to actually take place to win that car and money?
It's December 6th at the Gateway Dirt Nationals at 7:00.
Okay. What?
That's the deadline. You can buy a shirt all the way up until that 7:00 deadline, and then it's done.
Okay. And will it be the car that's raced on Gateway with all their ruts?
No, it'll be on display though. It'll be there. It's a brand new car, brand new roller. It'll be on display there at the event. So you can look at it up close right before you go buy your T-shirt and get entered.
Okay. Well, you said 6:30. You're at 6:35. 5 minutes extra. That's. I feel like. Do I have to pay you? Is this where I have to buy a shirt now?
No. No. I won't send you a bill. It was my pleasure.
Hold on. Like Chick-fil-A. My pleasure. Or are you gonna get in trouble if you don't say that? Or.
Oh no, I just have people waiting on me right now. That's all.
Oh, okay.
And,
I'm ruining your day.
They're okay.
The guilt trip is
You're
here.
not ruining the day, but.
But there's always
all good,
a but.
Man.
Anyways, but okay. $1 million. So I feel like I'm dealing with Dr. Evil here. $1 billion, but 1 million and sprint cars are at the Dome. That's the price, and it's happening. Okay.
Let's see what interest we get.
Oh my! All right. Well, hopefully we'll see you.
I'm waiting.
If you're waiting, you should have just texted me this like 3 months ago. We could have had it done, but there is a lot of money in tree stands and in cattle, in Roth country. I'm just saying, and those are outlaw guys. The high limit guys don't have. They can race wherever, so who cares what they want to do? But the Dirt Vision comments. Oh, Brian Carter. He is Darth Vader, though. I will agree. He's creepy, and you made me feel like I'm justified in my thoughts of him. I really do feel that way. I really do.
Yep, we've all had our own experiences, so
Yep. Ginger kitties.
Take that.
Yep, ginger kitties and Darth Vaders. That's who runs the sprint car world. Ginger kitties. Okay. Anything?
Which one gets the dome, I guess.
Oh, God. All right. Anything else you want to say there, Cody? Thank you for joining, if there isn't. And for the sprint car fans, it is next Thursday when this all kicks off, correct?
Correct. Next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, December 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Okay. You probably said that too much.
On Flow Racing.
On Flow Racing, the Saudi Arabian Empire has purchased the rights to broadcast your event. Have you heard of sports washing, Cody?
No, I've not heard of any of that, and I probably don't have time
you don't have time, no.
of it, but I know that no Saudi has ever reached out to me. So
well, it's a huge investor in Flow Racing and sports. We dove into this the other day. I did not know about this. It's new information for me as well. But
now you sound like Live Golf.
It's way past Live, actually. Way past it. It's more on the Candace Owens side of life, but that's a whole nother issue as well. But anyway, I do thank you for calling. $1 million is the price tag. Sprint cars at the Dome. Regardless, go to racedrt.com to get some merchandise. And is there anything else you want to say before we let you go here, Cody? I just want to give you the opportunity.
No, sir. All good.
Okay. Well.
All good. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you for calling once again, Cody, and we'll probably see you next week, more than likely.
All right. Sounds good. We look forward to it.
Thank you, sir. Oh, no. Sean, you need to come on the mic and review what we just heard. The Saudis have purchased the Gateway Dirt National, Sean. The Saudis did it. The gospel. Thank you, Cody. The gospel. Look at him. The Chaz, the real media. He doesn't know about the Saudis. Cody doesn't know about the Saudis. It's sports washing, John. Anyway. We thought something would happen in the comments. Finally, some real guests, of course. Chaz is the man for having Cody on. Well, thank you. We tried. But sprint cars at the Dome is the point. Explosive diarrhea. No. God. Is that last year's race or is that tonight's? What is this? Fog has moved in at Turkey Night. You can't see the cars down the back straightaway. Wow. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that was the show with Cody Sommer. I wanted to say Cody Jacobs, but maybe Cody Jacobs will be the guy who puts on the Dome show. We will see. We will see. Very informative there. I did not know the angst between Cody and Brian Carter. That was getting deep. That was getting serious, Sean. Interesting stuff. Anyways, interesting is interesting always. But thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. We will try to have another show here tomorrow. Yeah, we got 2 shows potentially, 1 for sure. And we're going to be talking about very similar things. Cody was very gracious to give us 5 extra minutes and giving his raw, authentic opinion. Obviously, he's come up from being, a guy taking chances. Obviously, he got burned in some chances. Feels like some people have done him wrong in those chances, but also has had success overall with those chances that he's taken. Sprint cars at the Gateway Dirt Nationals. That is what everybody wants, correct? That is what we all want to see. There's a price tag on it. GoFundMe going to be starting tomorrow. We'll have it a crowdfund source scenario. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. It was a good show there with Cody. Thanks for him for joining the show. As always, be sure to subscribe, and we will catch y'all next time. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen.
We can ride on out up to the morning, as long as we make the show. We can be the best, or we can be the worst. We can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words, but this is how we ride.